Yibbity yeah, yabbity you, zibbity zabbity zoo. Ah.
Yeah.
I wish people talked like, fucking like cartoon rabbits do. Yeah, no one does the hibbity doobity dow, zibbity zibbity zay, zippity zabbity. Fucking.
There's like a town where, at least, I'm not sure if this still exists or not, but supposedly there's a town where everyone lives like it's the 1950s.
Okay.
And so
you mean a sunset town?
yeah, sunset town. No, it's like people who are like, like the people who like to live like greasers, like.
Oh, you mean fucking rockabilly guys?
Yeah, it's mostly for rockabilly guys, but and they like to really live. And also, there's like a couple I think actually in like Port Angeles, like up north from us, that actually live and dress like they're in like the 18th century or something.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
18th century is cool as fuck.
But like I was just saying, like I'm sure that there's a town somewhere in these United States,
sure,
where everyone talks like a cartoon rabbit, and they also probably dress like cartoon rabbits.
Right. Which cartoon rabbit though? Because cartoon rabbits do have a lot of variation. I was more talking about the one from A Song of the South.
Oh, okay.
Zippity doo dah, zippity day. I'm hoping people do a lot more zippity zappity zoo, zay 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 zay.
Well, I think like among all, except for like the Watership Down cartoon rabbits, like I think like the what a cartoon rabbit is like a character that's very energetic, mischievous. He likes to play pranks. You see that with all rabbits.
Yeah, this is the archetype, and
the archetype. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it all kind of goes back to like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. But I'm sure there's stuff that predates Bugs Bunny.
Roger Rabbit.
Right.
Like they're all kind of like almost the same in their demeanor.
Think about this. You got Roger Rabbit, right?
Okay.
You got the Double R Diner from Twin Peaks. You think it's the Roger Rabbit Diner?
Oh, it could be.
You ever think about that?
Never thought about that.
No, it's because you're not thinking on a different level like I am.
Or maybe Roger Rabbit came into existence after. Well, what came first, Twin Peaks or Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I'm guessing Who Framed Roger Rabbit came first.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit was like late 80s, and Twin Peaks was early 90s.
Okay, so yeah. So did one influence the other?
One hand washes the other always, Pat.
One hand washes the other.
Right. By the way, this is Soy Trek.
Oh yeah.
That's the name of the podcast. I'm Comrade Britt.
I'm Patrick, and we're talking about rabbits.
We are. We're actually talking about 1984's Dune today.
Oh,
David Lynch's Dune.
I didn't watch that, but I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh. I might have gotten it mixed up in the chat, but I think it might be your brain damage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I never learned how to read.
That's on account of your brain damage.
On account of the brain damage.
Yeah, we got to look out for our head trauma, boys and girls.
So I'm just going to be relating everything back to Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's okay. That's okay. I guess first we should talk about our Patreon, motherfuckers.
We should.
What do we got? We got a Patreon at patreon.com/dumbidiotbs. That's patreon.com/dumbidiotbs. What can you get there? Well, for as little as free a month.
Free 99.
Free 99. You can subscribe actually now for free. Or
I keep forgetting to do that.
As little as $2 a month. Yeah, you keep forgetting. Everyone else keeps forgetting. No, not everyone. We've got a great, loyal Patreon fan base, and we thank them very much.
Yeah, we think you guys are the bee's knees.
Indeed. You keep us going. You keep us making funny stuff and enjoying ourselves doing what we do here.
It's true. It's true.
So anyway, with the Patreon, for as little as free, you can suggest episodes that we watch every month, every week. That's what this is right here.
Yeah.
is the patrons. The patrons.
Is it patrons
voted,
or Patreons?
I think it's patrons there.
Okay.
I don't know. It's confusing to me. I mean, they are patrons, but I think they should be Patreons as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so they recommend stuff, and then I put a poll up. People vote what they want us to watch the most. We watch it, and we review it, and that's kind of our game.
Yeah.
And then we choose stuff to do on our own.
If you don't like the episode, guess what? It's your fault.
Yeah, right?
My brother in Christ, you made the sandwich.
All we do is eat that sandwich.
Oh, yeah. We eat that shit sandwich you feed us, baby.
Oh, yeah.
What else? I'm like, oh, here we go. For $5 a month or more, we consider you like a producer of our podcast, and we name you on the podcast. People just like Dylan Lance, Jordan Hale, David Craning Seitz, D. Gursky, Jormore, Tim Wilkinson, Sam Mayo, Kyle Simmons, PJ Hale, Shane Sawyer, Gillian McCrary, SFC Punk, Roberto Molina, 7 of 9, James Hartman, Anna Conklin, Iggy, Abigail Simpson, James Hartman, Shane Williams, Roberto Yolito, Electric Baphomet, Jonah Hearn, Nick Savard, John Simcox, Asher Pliskin, and Skeptic. I don't know. I think I got everyone on there. I might not have gotten Christopher Loza.
Oh, nice.
So thank you to all those people.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate it. For $10 a month or more, you get access to
The motherfucking media dungeon.
Yeah, the Media Dungeon is my Plex server. If you don't know what Plex is, it's a streaming service that runs off home servers, namely my computer here.
Yeah.
I've got, a bit over 17,000 films.
You do?
I've got a bit over 1,400 shows.
Hell yeah.
I've got so much stuff. I've got stuff I keep up on, including current series right now going like The Curse, starring Nathan Fielder, Benny Safdie, and Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And also Fargo, the new season of Fargo, starring John Hamm.
I should watch that one. Is John Hamm the main character?
I don't know if he's the main character. He's definitely in there, though. Yeah. I prefer John Hamm to a John Turkey for like Christmas dinner.
I hear he's quite the ham, quite the jokester, if you will.
Yeah, he's friends with like a lot of comedians and stuff. He seems like he has a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And a pretty nice cock, you know what I'm saying?
And a pretty nice cock, if you know what I'm saying.
That's true. Like, have you seen that one? There's a picture of him, and he's got them, gray sweatpants.
Oh, yeah.
You can see the dick print.
Does he have a pretty beefy?
He is hanging hog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is like a full swine hanging from a hook down there.
Suey.
Suey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn. That is a hog right there.
That's a whole Christmas ham. Whole Christmas ham, baby. That's why they call him John Ham, is because he's got a whole hog, baby.
Yeah, he's got the whole hog.
He's like, I can spit roast you on this thing alone. It'll go from the front all the way to the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep.
I know from personal experience.
I was on the set of that new Fletch film. He did things to me.
He did things, unspeakable things.
They were pretty awesome.
He was getting like some sort of allegations recently, like I think a couple years ago, where it was just like saying that he hazed some people in college, and they were trying.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, sorry, it was in college. I mean, I didn't mean to." And everyone's like, "Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, but that is fucked up."
Yeah.
He did a fucked up thing. Some people do fucked up things and like become better people later in life. Yeah. It's allowed to happen.
Yeah, people can change.
Yeah, and they should.
He used to be a piece of shit.
Yeah, if he never was called to account for that, maybe now he should have like a public reckoning. But like, he's a good actor, and by all accounts, he doesn't do shitty things now.
Yeah.
So
except spit roast people that come to see him on the set of Fletch.
yeah.
You just twirled me over that flame for so long.
Mm-hmm. Comedy Central spit roast of Patrick Featrick Toey.
Yeah, the Featrick Toey. And yeah, it's just like 90 minutes of me just spinning on that hog.
Yeah, baby.
Over an open flame.
Mm-hmm.
putting pineapple slices on
Patrick roasting on an open fire. John Hamm's big cock in his ass. I know it's been said many times, many ways, but he's gonna break that shit like glass.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. That's my Christmas song to you.
Yes.
That's all you get for Christmas, Pat.
Yes. Just the Christmas ham song.
I actually saw a thing on Instagram. It was like trying to sell me a custom song, and it showed like someone in the car, and it has like this generic pop song like, I was 19 and you was 17 when we met, and it's all auto-tune and shit. I'm like, what? And it like gives all these specific details, and it's like a custom love song for them, and it's really bad. It sounds very like AI generated.
It probably is. Like that's honestly probably what happens is like did you see someone singing it, or you just heard the song?
No, I just heard the song.
Okay, yeah, so it probably is just because like I was wondering if like a singer just they give you like personal information, they just put it into an AI thing, like make a song out of this, and then they just sing it. Right. Because I do see that like someone was like trying to sell like fake charcoal drawings.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
I was just like that are just drawn by AI. It's just like you can literally make that yourself.
It just looks like a shitty fucking filter you use in Photoshop.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, well, what are we doing here, people?
We're seeing the end of art and the end of creativity.
Yeah.
At the expense of artists and at the enrichment of a few people who have AI companies, and like a lot of people on Twitter who have like hashtag AI in their profile. And
I do think they're kind of like overblowing its usability, I think, and it's like and its appeal. Because I think like once people are actually paying for like an AI movie, they're gonna be like, this is trash.
I mean, it has a lot of potential to like streamline like a lot of work processes and make redundant things that like would definitely change like a certain, like the upper managerial class and a lot of things. A lot of people who just like look at data and make decisions based on that will now be like relegated to machines. Like, of course, people putting groceries on the shelves and shit. That's never going to change.
I kind of do feel like the middle managers are probably the last ones to go, though. It's like the first always is on the chopping block is like the creatives. So it's just like, it's like we're going to still have like the guys who are just like a producer's cousin, just in those middle management roles, like making money while like just like have some guy make a script through AI and then use that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the whole AI thing is such nonsense, honestly.
It is. It's a weird attempt to like. So like the promise of AI is it's going to simplify everybody's life and like revolutionize labor, but it doesn't have an answer to what it's going to do once it revolutionizes labor.
No.
Because what do we do with all those displaced workers? Because right now our solution is basically putting them in jail or putting them in prison. Like, we like criminalize homelessness and vagrancy and things like that now to the point where like, if people don't have a home or have a place to go a day or night, like they are often charged with a crime for doing so and locked up for it.
Yeah, I also feel it's sort of like, like the people who really champion this are people who think like movies have politics and are woke because there's like a human element behind it that's that's injecting their personal politics or something. And so there's like a war against creative types because they feel like they're like this woke gay influence on people. And so it's just like, oh well, if it's the cold logic of machines, they'll just make a make a non-political script that we can use, and that's going to be us, and that'll actually make movies that we can agree with, and not just something that we call woke every 5 minutes. So
right.
So yeah, it feels.
Do we really need to agree with movies for them to be entertaining or good?
I don't think so. No.
Because I don't agree with a lot of the politics of like basically any good like Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
No,
except for maybe like True Lies. Like all of them have like dog shit politics where it's like basically like big man good because big man kill, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, Rambo 3. It's just like, and like it's. There's especially in like those action movies of the 80s that are just like we're definitely like. Arnold himself has said like they were a direct result of Reaganism and everything else.
No.
So it's just like, I mean, you can like it, but politically it's not like something that you can really endorse or enjoy. But like, I mean, and there's movies I've seen that just like left me feeling really bad, and I'm just like, that was great. It made me feel something, had invoked an emotional reaction out of me. And then, of course, there's like movies that invoke an emotional reaction out of me that I absolutely hate, like Lady Ballers.
Right.
Saw that. That was probably one of the most dog shit movies I've ever seen. It's what the movie teaches at the end is like a guy, the main character's daughter comes up to him and says like, "Dad, I want to be a boy." And he's like, "No, honey, you can't be a boy. Why would you want to do that? Because boys are good at everything." And like lists like every single thing boys are like in this movie, like boys are good at sports, parking, and all those other things. And then he's like, "No, girls are good at stuff too. You can make babies." and so then that what makes the girl like, okay, I don't want to be a boy anymore, because it's like, all right, boys are winners, and boys are naturally good at sports, and I can never hope to ever beat a boy in a sport, but I can have children. And so I was like, this is the most evil movie I've ever. And it ends with like the guy realizing the error of his ways and replacing all of the trans players that he got that are just like his buddies that are pretending to be women to play in women's basketball.
Joanna Man, and but the other team gets other guys to play, that are better players, better Joannas, and so the way they win is like then the little girls come out, and then the guys realize the absurdity of playing against women, and so then it's sort of like I think symbolic of them being like, we have to treat women like children, and we have to let them win in a symbolic way, but not actually. And so like the tall basketball players help the little girls dunk basketballs and stuff, and then and so that's really sweet.
And so it is sort of like does feel like it's like a shepherding almost of women, which is like kind of like the message of what the Daily Wire teaches is like, men need to be the shepherd of women. Yeah. And so it was a really awful, evil movie. Like I was just like, wow, this is a piece of shit. I watched because I was like, what, I have to, because I knew that everyone's gonna be saying it's the funniest movie ever made. It's not. It's awful. But I wouldn't hate watch it if you want to value your sanity.
Fair.
Yeah.
So you started that point with like, there's movies that like drive you insane, and then another type of movie. What's the other type of movie?
Oh, I think like there's there's movies that make you feel an emotion, and then there's movies like Lady Ballers that are just bad.
Oh, okay, but that makes you feel an emotion.
It made me feel an emotion
because I thought that's what you were talking about.
I meant like because
that makes you feel an emotion. Definitely.
Oh, it definitely makes me feel an emotion, but it was just like, but also like there's like movies that make you feel bad, but you can appreciate the artistic approach of it. Like there's like just very nihilistic fills or something, and and just something that has like a message that and just like, wow, it sits with you. It's profound. It makes you it changes the way you think. It makes you sit and think about it for a couple days. And then there's like
I think that's a good place to segue into what we're talking about today, because I feel that way about what we're talking about.
Yeah, we could have segued when we were talking about AI, because this is at post Butlerian Jihad, where they had the machine rebellion.
true, I guess.
You know.
Yeah, but
I did a whole thing with it.
We're getting like into 20 minutes here. We haven't even talked about what we're talking about yet. So let's just start off by saying we must not fear, because fear is the mind killer. Mm-hmm. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will let it pass over me and through me. And when it is past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. When it is gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
Damn.
And that's the Lord's Prayer for nerds.
Yes, Lord.
That's what that is.
I just actually got a bumper sticker.
I saw that.
With that, yeah.
Cool.
Litany against fear, yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. So today we're talking about David Lynch's Dune from 1984.
Yeah, and this is the director's cut, right, that we watched, because I did notice it said David Lynch and not Judas Booth.
Right. So there is no director's cut, really. There is a cut that was made by David Lynch reluctantly, and it was more made by Dino De Laurentiis and his daughter, but we'll get into that, who produced the film. He had a much different vision that was either several movies or a 4-hour-long film.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, given like its treatment right now, where the second half, which is, you know, the new Dune movies, like is basically covering the same amount of information, but they're broken into basically 4 hours worth of films.
Right.
And the second part's coming out soon, which I'm really stoked for.
Yeah, me too. I am very stoked for that film. When is that coming out? Is it in February or something like that?
Is it February? I hope so.
I don't know.
That'd be great.
I know it's in 2024.
Yeah.
Sometime.
I'm probably gonna wait till maybe like summer movie month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably gonna be a summer blockbuster.
Summer blockbuster.
Oh, it's hot outside. You gotta go to the movie theater, kids. They've got the air conditioning there and nickel candies. What's a nickel candy? Yeah, it's a candy for a nickel. I guess they probably don't. Nickel doesn't get you much anymore these days, does it, kid?
Doesn't get you nothing.
It'll get you a blowjob and from an old man and a 5-cent refund. You know what I'm saying?
They really should just like get rid of pennies and nickels and dimes, like the most useless form of currency now.
Right.
It's just like nothing needs those things anymore.
I mean, like cash is kind of a funny currency in the first place. Like it's weird we're all still like using it and not just like using like, you know, like fucking WeChat or whatever fucking China uses.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you know, people want to hoard, have little bottles of dimes.
Little bottles of dimes, baby. Yeah. So we're gonna do things a little differently today, I think. Right. Dune is a large story.
It is very large.
Dune is a dense story.
Yeah.
Dune has a lot of names, a lot of specific things that happen to it, a lot of specific locations, specific actions, a lot of lore. And to actually write this out and go through and research it, watching this movie would have been a several-day project.
Yes, it would have.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Instead of going through this movie, like, you know, like line by line, scene by scene, we're going to mount... At least I am. I don't know about you. A defense of David Lynch's Dune. Okay.
No, I mean it's a film. Like I was kind of raised with at a young age.
Yeah.
So I do have that fondness for it.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, I have nostalgia.
So I wasn't raised with it at all. So I don't have nostalgia for it at all. But I like it as a film.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I would say, I don't know, compared to like the new version, the Denis Villeneuve one, the new one's far superior in tone of like the way they're telling the story.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot less like studio constraints, especially with the fact that they decided to make it like a 6-hour-long epic.
Yes.
Divided between 2 films.
Yeah.
Instead of a 2-hour and 19-minute film.
Yeah, and like there's a lot that it glosses over very quickly. But it's funny because like almost like the first half of the 1984 Dune is almost like
beat for beat
in the new one.
Yeah, it is.
And which I thought was very interesting. Because like I'd grown up watching this movie periodically throughout my life. Like my dad was a fan of the Dune books, and so I had seen it very young, and like I was like, even though I really didn't like when I saw it, like when I was younger, I didn't understand anything that was happening.
Right. It is. It's dense and it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
I've seen it a bunch. I've seen the new one a couple times, and I've read the books like when I was 16. I actually read them in high school for an assignment, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
But
the Dune lore in the books is like I didn't really understand the Dune movie until I went back and I went and read the books. I'm like, okay, that's clicks. And I went back and watched 1984 Dune after reading the books. I'm like, okay, and I kind of get what
Yeah, it's not the best introduction to Dune. The best introduction to Dune is probably the books. Maybe the Denis Villeneuve.
I would say so. Yeah, like I really like where you look at like 1984's Dune, like I didn't really understand like a lot of what was going on just like technology wise until I read the books, like the Butler and Jihad, and it's just like stuff like that. And I feel like the 2021 Dune does that a lot better, where it has like this minimalist, brutalist style with everything.
Very true.
Where there's a rejection of any higher technology other than like everything's manual.
Right.
Like technology's manual. Like he doesn't really have like a computer. He just has sort of like a thing that like he puts like tapes in almost and watches informational things. Like there's nothing. There's no computers of any kind, and there's no automated.
It's a hit clips.
It's a hit clips,
it's got a hit clips, yeah.
And so like I really like that, like watching like the 1984 Dune, like because I also went back and rewatched it after watching the 2021 one, and I was just like when that first came out, and I was just like, yeah, definitely like. I mean, I do like. There's like definitely like a lot more like freak choices in 1984 Dune because it's David Lynch.
No, exactly, and it's very Lynchian. Very Lynchian is the thing, and like people, I think, were just like expecting a good kind of action blockbuster from a very up and coming director who is, I think, hot off the heels of Elephant Man at this moment.
Yeah, and he gave up directing Star Wars 3.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi. Star Wars 6.
Yeah, sorry.
In order to do this, telling George Lucas that like he said, that's your thing, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool fucking line.
It is such a cool fucking line.
David Lynch, like, I looked into, like, the production of this for a while and stuff, and, like, David Lynch is just the coolest guy.
He is, yeah.
He's a cool dude.
He's getting divorced again right now.
He gets divorced a lot.
Yeah, but it's just so funny to be, like, an 80-year-old man getting divorced. It's like, damn.
Right. He seems kind of divorced. He's like divorced goth dad energy.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't get remarried. That'd be insane, getting remarried that old.
I know.
Most some people like it, but
yeah.
He's a very particular guy, and I do like a lot of like the choices that he takes, especially with the Harkonnens and stuff like that. Just he really feels like the power to just go completely nuts. And I was also thinking like I was thinking like watching this, like a lot of the influences from Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune.
Yeah.
Like that documentary about like his book, his proposed film, and I do wonder how much of that maybe was those influences found their way into this.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. I got a little bit of an article on that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to kind of start off the whole conversation with a review from Roger Ebert on this film. Because I think Roger Ebert is one of the better, more thoughtful film critics of our time. And he says, quote, "This movie's a real mess. An incomprehensible, ugly, unstructured, pointless excursion into the murkier realms of one of the most confusing screenplays of all time. Even the color is no good. Everything is seen through a sort of dusty yellow filter, as if the film was left out in the sun too long."
I kind of feel that tracks, given that it takes place on a desert planet.
I know. I feel like that was an artistic choice that I agree with, and I'm like, I don't think you got that, Roger Ebert.
Yeah, you're supposed to feel dry, and it's supposed to feel bright and dry.
I feel unmoisturized watching this film, and that's like something I barely ever feel because I'm motherfucking moisturized, baby. I said
I'm motherfucking moisturized, baby.
I see you're wearing the jack off pants. I know.
Oh. You know me, baby. Got those J.O.
J.O. pants, sweatpants.
Joggers, I think. J.O.
J.O.
joggers, yeah. So Ebert continues here, says, quote, "The movie's plot will no doubt mean more to people who have read Herbert than to those who are walking in cold. It has to do with a young hero's personal quest. He leads his people against an evil baron and tries to destroy galaxy-wide trade in spice, a drug produced on a desert planet. Spice allows you to live indefinitely while you discover you have less and less to think about. There are various theological overtones which are best left unexplored." I don't know why he thinks the theological overtones are best left unexplored. I thought that was like one of the more interesting parts of the movie.
And that's something I think is like explored better in the 2021 Dune. I think.
I mean, we'll see, I guess, because I feel like the theological overtones really come in like when Paul becomes part of the Fremen, which only like just kind of happened at the end of Dune.
They do talk a lot. They do. There is a lot of buildup of the prophecy.
That's true.
And also you see like Gurney reading the Orange Catholic Bible at some points in the 2021 Dune.
Yeah, I feel like the witches are set up a lot better in the 2021.
They are. I do like how they look though in 1984.
They're so cool. They're all like bald and shit. Yeah. And the fucking the kid one is
Leah.
so good. The one in the end. Oh god, I love that fucking kid. Just so fucking disturbing.
Yeah, like I do like how they definitely like ADR'd her with like a grown woman's voice.
Oh yeah, but it was like like it was
My brother's coming for you.
Yeah, it was very like your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Yeah.
It was very like very Exorcist kind of style, and it was like very creepy, and I thought very effective.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
I really kind of like the ending of this movie, but it's not like I think people were like expecting Star Wars, and it's not that.
No, it's not. Like I do feel like. And it is funny because like Star Wars definitely affected a lot of like sci-fi movies that came out around this time, like Zardoz. I
fucking love Zardoz.
Zardoz rocks, but Zardoz also came out during the height of Star Wars, and people are like, it's not Star Wars, but it's just like it's its own thing.
It is.
And
Star Wars doesn't have fucking Sean Connery wearing like a two-piece bikini.
Yes,
a two-piece red leather bikini
with thigh-high boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like. It took some choices, but like
it definitely had like some choices in there.
Yeah, I feel like the comparison between like Star Wars and Dune was kind of maligned it a little because it's not like a fun shoot 'em up. Like there's no space battles, there's no sword fights. Well, there's sword fights, but like there's like knife fights and stuff. You do have some fights in this. You know, you have Patrick Stewart running into battle holding a little baby pug.
Right. It is definitely like less action based than the 2021 version.
Yeah, and so like but you compare that and contrast that with like Star Wars where you have people with laser swords and like and guns and stuff and kind of like
although you do have the body shields in this, but I feel like they don't utilize them too often, to be honest.
No, they don't. No. And plus you kind of see like how they develop technology to counteract the body shields, like the slow moving bullets and everything else, and those also make an appearance in 2021 one. But like,
so like, what would happen if you were in the Matrix and like you understood the Matrix, but then you were shot with a slow moving bullet?
I guess it'd be easier to dodge.
Probably go even slower, huh?
Yeah, go any slower, and if you were moving normal time, you could like get around it.
Well, what if you're only used to dodging the slow ones, not the extra slow ones?
Well, you would dodge the normal ones, and the other slow one would come at you, and then you just wait and stare at it until like it got close, and then you could just go out of the way.
Yeah, easy for you to say. That's some real I would have prevented 9/11 shit right there. You've never dodged any bullets.
I've never dodged any bullets. It's true.
Slow or fast.
Slow or fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do like for this film, like I do like one of the things that always stood out to me, especially when I was a kid, was the look of the movie.
The aesthetic.
Like I love still suits. Like I grew up wanting a still suit.
Oh, they're so cool. Wow.
They're very cool. They're very unpractical considering they're a deep black in the desert. You know,
that makes sense to me.
You can see them coming from a mile away.
No, I think that's what powers them.
Oh, that's
is
true.
it absorbs the heat, and the heat is what powers the still suit and its functions.
Okay.
That's what I like to imagine.
Well, it's powered by the walking that processes it in your knee pads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if you have your genitals in your knees, like that one Star Trek alien?
I can only imagine though, like I wonder if it just has like a tube that's in your asshole, and so then
It does, yeah, because
so
it recycles your feces.
yeah. So it's just like you're just like blasting ass and
Oh,
those
yeah.
things.
Or you're like running away from a sandworm. I think my shit tube fell out. Spill it everywhere. The worm's gonna smell it. Gotta run.
Gotta run.
Yeah. So I'm gonna finish this
Oh, that's
review
right,
here.
yeah.
So Ebert finishes here. The movie has so many characters, so many unexplained or incomplete relationships, and so many parallel courses of action that it's sometimes a toss-up whether we're watching a story or just an assembly of meditations on themes introduced by the novels.
Yeah.
The movie is like a dream.
I would agree
The
with
movie is like a dream.
I would agree with that.
Movies like a dream.
Movies like a dream. But I would agree with him because it's like I do feel like he had constraints by the studio to make it into one film.
Right.
And so like as a result, a lot of like of the nuances of the story are lost.
Absolutely.
And like a lot of the lore, like because I don't even think they really. I think they do mention like the thinking machine, the rejection of the thinking machines at some point, maybe in like the Princess Aurelian speech in the beginning.
Maybe.
And I do like that, like because like going into this, like he is right about like how dense the story is, where like when people actually went and saw this in theaters, they were actually given a pamphlet,
right,
an educational pamphlet,
right, which is actually a kind of a good idea, but at the same time, you can't read that in the theater, really. So it's like
no, you can probably read it. They will probably read it beforehand to like.
I mean, how many people arrive early for a film, Patrick?
Yeah, that's true.
And besides, like by the time you get there, they already have like ads playing and shit, and it's distracting, and you gotta position your coat just right so they can't watch you J&O in the theater.
It's true, but they didn't have J.O. joggers back then.
That's true. That's a great leap in technology.
But yeah, like just like that you could see like a lot of attempts they took to do shorthand for like a lot of just like natural world building from the beginning, like the pamphlet. Princess Aurelian's speech in the beginning, where
right?
It's like she pretty much has to like catch you up to speed, because there's like basically 8,000 years of history to catch up with. Galactic history.
Because that's the thing is like Dune is very much like a historical novel.
Yeah,
like it breaks down like the Dune series breaks down a series of historical events in pretty like dry fashion.
Yeah,
and like breaks down like and explains things and explains the systems within the world. Which
does get
pretty
interesting. Does get pretty horny at times.
It does get pretty horny at times. Yeah. After Paul joins the Fremen, he has some of that
sex.
So
Yeah, and the honored matras that come in later and just like dominate men through sex, and it get pretty horny up in here.
Yeah. Pretty horny up in here. 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 Pretty horny up in here.
And the novel does have does introduce the term beef swelling.
Beef swelling, what's that? Beef Swellington?
Beef Swellington, Paul Atreides getting hard.
Oh, beef swelling. Yeah.
Beef swelling.
Yeah, pork sorting.
Pork sorting. So yeah, like we have the beef swelling, and so it's a pretty horny. I think that even in like I think was it the second or third, a woman has an orgasm watching Leto II climb a mountain.
But keep going. I'm almost finished.
Keep going. I'm almost finished.
So yeah, there's a lot of like his own shit coming in through this, and but yeah, like I like to catch up with it, to catch everyone up on this. Like it took a lot, and already if like you're already having to make these decisions where you have to like make sure there's a pamphlet, make sure there's like an introductory speech that's kind of off-putting, like in the beginning. Like,
yeah, it might have been better as like an opening crawl or something like that.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, yeah, Star Wars uses that, but
it's brief though.
It's brief and
it's it's better like film to film, Star Wars film to Star Wars film. The first 3 are actually pretty good opening crawls.
Yeah, and it becomes like a part of of a Star Wars movie, having that opening crawl to kind of just catch you up on the immediate situation. But like Aurelian's talking basically like, oh well, these are the politics that are happening.
Right. It would have been better to show and don't tell.
Yeah, definitely show and not tell, and like but that would have been like for a film that could have been a trilogy or something, and not just like, and you have to like, for the viewer, you have to like basically dump them in an ice bath or something to be like, okay, this is what's going on right now.
Yeah,
get used to it because it's going to be fucking nuts. You're not going to recognize anything that's happening on the screen.
Or honestly, something they could have done that might have worked pretty well is changing some names. Because I'm not gonna lie, the names in here are fucking confusing.
Yeah.
Like,
there's Gurney Halleck.
Like, yeah, you got like the main competing forces in this are Atreides, Harkonnen, and I guess the Fremen.
Yeah. And then House Carino, the Emperor's people.
True, yeah. Yeah, House Carino as well.
Yeah.
And those aren't easy names to remember. That's not anything like Skywalker, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
It's got no rhythm to it and or shit.
And then you have like names like, of course, like, Gurney Halleck, Duncan Idaho.
Duncan Idaho is the only memorable name in this entire series.
Yeah. Especially since he basically becomes like the main character later on.
Yeah, well, because he can't die basically.
Yeah, he's constantly resurrected. I was thinking, like, watching this, I was laughing like a buddy cop comedy starring Duncan Idaho and Johnny Utah.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's like that'd be really fun. Just like we're called the flyover states.
Oh, that's good. Or Danny California. From the Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Oh yeah. Maybe he's like the guy that gives them their missions.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's I did read one time a really good explanation for like a lot of people. You got a lot of flack for having his last name be Idaho, and I read a good explanation about that. I can't remember from where, but like a guy saying like, what they're not actually speaking English. Like they're speaking a language that is like so far changed from what we speak, because it's 8,000 years in the future. Like it's completely unrecognizable to us, and so his name isn't Idaho. It just sounds that way.
Yeah, it's like Idaho.
Yeah, it's like
something like that.
Yeah, it's something that's
Idaho. Idaho.
Yeah, they're all Australian. So like,
oh no,
and they're no, and so I think that's a really good kind of just like how you have to kind of think about it, because and we don't really see like any kind of exploration of language in this, but I mean we don't get time. Like I think that's shown in like 2021 Dune, where we have the Harkonnens actually speaking their home tongue, and that sounds completely fucking nuts.
It is.
And so
yeah, they're pretty brutal in the new one. I mean, they're pretty brutal in this too.
Yeah,
they're a little cartoony though. Like there's elements of this movie that remind me a lot of like Flash Gordon.
There are,
and I think there's a big reason for that.
Yeah, you can kind of see where a lot of his influences came from, and I do, and just like having all the Harkonnens have red hair, and they're all very like
redheads. To be fair, are evil.
Yes, there was actually when this movie came out, there was like it got a lot of flack for having like a openly homosexual character with something that resembled AIDS.
I actually have that in my notes.
Yeah.
I'll read this here. So, film scholar Robin Wood called Dune the most obscenely homophobic film I have ever seen, referring to a scene in which Baron Harkonnen sexually assaults and kills a young man by bleeding him to death, charging it with managing to associate with homosexuality in a single scene physical grossness, moral depravity, violence, and disease. Dennis Altman suggested that the film showed how AIDS references began penetrating popular culture in the 1980s, asking, Was it just an accident that in the film Dune, the homosexual villain has sores on his face? Personally, as a gay, I think he's pretty rad and very effective as a villain.
Yeah.
There's this one scene, the scene where he bleeds the servant boy is so disgusting.
That is
like he is truly grotesque, and it shows like how villainous and like how much the Harkonnens need to be defeated because they're run by this absolutely grotesque character.
Yeah, he's like this guy that just takes pleasure in being completely brutal and evil,
right.
and gets off on murder.
Right, and
you can see Fade also, like, as played by Sting, also just like really vibing with it. He's just like, yes.
I actually like Sting's performance in here. He doesn't like actually have many lines really. He just shouts things.
I think that's also by design.
Right, and he's also naked half the film, which is. Not
a bad thing.
Sting be looking good in this. He's a twink for sure.
Oh yeah,
twink.
Yeah, he's almost like he almost got a little on the crux of being a twunk bit because he is violent. He is very strong.
Yeah, but he's still a twink.
Yeah.
He's still a twink. I could beat him up. Twink.
Paul definitely has problems. Like I feel like the new Fade in the new movie, like from what I've seen, he looks a little bit more like threatening.
Mm-hmm. I like how everyone agrees, no matter who they cast, that Paul Atreides is a twink.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. Well, I kind of feel like because like that's part of the story. Because like I do feel in the story of Dune.
Frank Herbert writing in his notes, Paul is a fucking twink.
And it's kind of
underlining
because
twink.
like Lady Jessica, I don't think it's like mentioned in this, but like Lady Jessica was part of like the Bene Gesserit like breeding program, where she was supposed to give birth to a daughter,
right?
Because she's like the Bene Gesserit are able to like have full control over their bodies, and they're able to like change the sex of the child, and stuff and the womb, and she chooses and because the Kwisatz Haderach wasn't supposed to come until the next generation. It was like she was supposed to give birth to a daughter. That daughter was supposed to have a baby with Fade, and that baby was going to be the Kwisatz Haderach.
Hell yeah!
And but
Sting's baby was supposed to be the fucking Messiah.
Yes,
but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, like
Sting's baby in real life is the Messiah.
It could be. I don't know his kids.
Second coming of Jesus.
But yeah, like Paul was supposed to be Paula, and so it was, and but because she loved Duke Leto, like she decided to give him a son. Yeah. And go against the wishes of the Bene Gesserit breeding program.
But he has all of the powers of that the female baby.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's why I was thinking kind of like, it is kind of like Paul is sort of like this mixing of the masculine and feminine. So he's sort of like,
he's got an extra chromosome in there.
The extra chromosome. Like it is kind of like that's why he's able to tap into these abilities, is because he's like, because it's like that's a very alchemical thing, this like having the masculine and the feminine together, and so that's why he's able to be like the twink that starts a jihad across the universe.
I mean, if we ever have a universal jihad, it will be started by a twink.
It will be started by a twink.
I mean, most people don't think about it, but this is going to be controversial. Osama bin Laden, twink.
Oh, do you think like Osama bin Laden was the Kwisatz Haderach?
Not necessarily. I haven't thought that analogy through at all.
No, you haven't. So let that marinate for a while. And
I am, but I am saying that
Osama bin Laden's a twink.
Osama bin Laden's a twink. It's just a thought that came to my head. As I'm like organizing like people and like kind of like big world figures that have ever been around into like twink and not twink, and he's one of the few in there. Not a whole bunch of world-defining, world-changing twinks. No. A lot more twunks and like kind of just like bigger guys. A lot of bears changing history. A lot of like kind of dilfy types.
Oh yeah, we had Eleanor Roosevelt.
Is Eleanor Roosevelt a twink? Is that what you're saying?
No, like, you know, just like
A DILF?
Yeah, DILF.
Eleanor Roosevelt's DILF. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, that DILF energy.
Yeah, all right. Zaddy.
Zaddy.
So going back to Ebert's review of the film.
Oh yeah.
He obviously hated this film.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment, though, and I don't think it's as much of a fault of David Lynch. I think it's like a lot of the studio meddling.
I think you're right. At the same time, I think that by like Ebert's usual measure of success, this would actually not be quite a bad film, because Ebert usually talks about the intent of the filmmaker being paramount to the quality of the film. That is, if a filmmaker accomplishes what they were trying to do, the film is in fact better regardless of quality. And I think David Lynch tried to make a surrealist version of Dune, and in that, he succeeded. In Ebert's own words, this film is like a dream.
Yeah. I definitely like from the unmade Alejandro Jodorowsky. I think that's what he was trying to achieve wanted to achieve with his iteration of Dune.
Yeah.
Just like there's a lot more symbolism in that, like, you know, like, and Alejandro Jodorowsky's like Paul was actually like Duke Leto was going to be a castrated, and it was going to be played by his son. Yes.
Actually, we should talk about that, the pre-production of Dune, because before this, the rights had been acquired by several people. Before it was actually produced by Dino De Laurentiis and his daughter, Raffaella. So let's kind of go into that. So after the success of Dune, it was bought up to adapt. In mid-'71, producer Arthur P. Jacobs, who did Planet of the Apes, bought it up, but he died during pre-production.
Oh, shit.
The film rights were bought again in 1974 by a French film consortium with experimental film magnate Alejandro Jodorowsky attached to direct. He planned to cast Salvador Dali in the role of Emperor Shaddam the Fourth at the price of $100,000 an hour, which is unheard of, completely untenable.
And I if I remember correctly, I wonder if Salvador Dali said that because he thought he wouldn't take it, and he did. He was like, "Yes, fine." He's like, "That sounds great."
So he also approached contributors, including Pink Floyd and Magma for music, Dan O'Bannon for visual effects, as well as artist H.R. Geiger of Alien fame.
It's just funny because like that movie did bring Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Geiger together to make Aliens, which is funny. And that's one thing I wanted to mention, like, you know, how like I think was the influence on the 1984 Dune was like the fact that like Alejandro Jodorowsky wanted each planet to have their own soundtrack by a different band.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool.
Like he was gonna have Pink Floyd, I think, do like the music for the Atreides, and like have other people for Harkonnen. So there's going to be all these like, you know, cool bands doing like their own individual soundtracks for each group, and that's why I think like, you know, because I do feel there is like a huge music influence, like for the music and 1984 Dune. Like I love the soundtrack by Toto.
It's amazing.
It's so fucking sick.
It's like if you took the fucking Flash Gordon theme song and basically like made it into an entire soundtrack. Yes. it's like what Queen tried to do with Flash Gordon, but much better. Yes. Because Toto is like the best collection, like the fucking Luthiker, Steve Luthiker, the fucking Porcaro brothers. Like they're some of the best studio musicians of all time. Yep. Like fucking Jeff Porcaro plays on Steely Dan albums, man. And he plays some of the sickest shit you hear on Steely Dan. And you hear sick shit all over Steely Dan. Steely Dan's the sickest shit, my friend.
Steely Dan's the sickest shit, my friend.
It truly is. But yeah, I do like, I like, because, you know, he brought in Sting as an actor. Then he has Toto doing this entire soundtrack. So, sounds incredible, like as you were saying. Like I think it fits the mood of the movie very well. And I just like that. I feel like that idea to, you know, cast like you know a band to compose the music for the film was kind of like born from Alejandro Jodorowsky initial idea.
Yeah, you might be right. And speaking of musicians, Jodorowsky originally was going to cast Sting's character with Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
So another twink, another famous twink. So apparently these guys are seeing eye to eye when it comes to twinks.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was just a lot more twinks available in the 70s.
I think there was, because like you kind of have to think about like, you know, the 70s and how in the
80s, yeah.
In the 80s, like, yeah, it's just like, you know, still recovering from the Great War, you know.
Sure.
You know, like, you know, especially like the British.
The Great
you know?
Twink War.
They're all still pretty thin and twinky.
Right.
Like,
yeah, because like all the fat guys died in the war because they were a much bigger target.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, and just dealing with that, you know, the history of, you know, just like, you know, just the starvation basically, you know, during, you know, surviving during like the bombing.
Yeah, if I was in a war and like marching out to battle, I would just like find the fattest guy to get behind, and I wouldn't like use him as a human shield. I'd just be like, "Your lead." And just like follow him, and be like, because you know it's a big meat shield. You know,
a big meat shield.
Takes a lot to go through human flesh of one big piece of meat. You know, and it's probably stopping there.
They did have some good weapons though.
They do have some good weapons.
Yeah, but like but yeah, like the Toto soundtrack, like especially when he's riding the worm. Mm-hmm. And that fucking like kicks in when the heroic triumphant music kicks in.
It's so fucking sick.
Like you can't help but be like, fuck yeah. And it's just like, it's an amazing soundtrack. I think it fits the film
I think
well.
it's triumphant. I think it's fun. It's got like it's like just a regular movie soundtrack, except it also has like a lot of electric guitars.
Yes.
It sounds like if like Trans-Siberian Orchestra was hired to play a score that someone wrote.
Yes, yeah.
And, you know, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I'm not a fan of them, but they're all very great musicians. Yeah. You know, all some of the best studio musicians out there, and that's what Toto is, you know. They were the fucking studio musicians who played fucking Michael Jackson's Thriller, you know. That's the Porcaro brothers right there. Steve Lukather on guitar.
Look at them. They did a sick-ass sound. I would have loved if they had reused some of that music for the 2021.
Oh, that would have been so sick.
But I did like a lot of the music. I did like the music in the 2021.
Yeah, the sound design in that movie is very good in general.
Yeah, that's like I love listening to movie soundtracks, and the 2021 Dune is one that I listened to. Like also the 1984 Dune, I listened to that soundtrack, and also the 2021 Dune.
Another thing we should mention is Brian Eno has a track on here, the Prophecy, theme or something like that, the Prophets theme.
Yeah.
That's used a couple times in the film, and it's a really nice, relaxing track. It's not like the standout track of the film, I don't think at all.
No,
there's a couple things.
It's good music. Isn't that the one that plays at the end?
Yeah. Kind of when he's like bringing the Fremen out to the desert and shit. And yeah.
It's good shit.
So let's move on to post Jodorowsky's Dune. So in 1981, the 9-year film rights were set to expire with a French film consortium who had them. Dino De Laurentiis renegotiated the rights from the author, adding them to the rights, the Dune sequels, written and unwritten. He showed the book to Sid Sheinberg, president of MCA and parent company of Universal City Studios.
Yeah, Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune book, which I would kill to have a copy of that.
Yeah, is it rare or something?
Yeah, it's incredibly rare. Like, it was basically the entire Alejandro Jodorowsky's and the entire movie that he had storyboarded in his mind. He storyboarded the entire thing. Yeah, and it has like original art of how he wanted the ships, and like. And it should be said, like, Alejandro Jodorowsky didn't read Dune. A lot of it is his own interpretation of it.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. Like, there's definitely, like the end, for example, is very different than any of the movies or the books. Like, it ends with, like, Paul dying.
Good.
But when he dies, his essence basically goes into everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
So
cool.
So he becomes everyone. It's a lot more. It's
spiritual.
It's a lot more spiritual.
I'm
like
into that.
It's a lot, very avant-garde. You know, you would say, and like.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Jodorowsky, really? Yeah. You sure? Him?
The guy who made Holy Mountain and El Topo. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like So I would have loved to see that.
I somehow forgot about Otolpo, who's like the fucking entire premise of that film is like, what if a guy had a really big black hat? Like that's the whole fucking that's the pitch. Yeah. Like it's great.
I do love like in the beginning of that film, that's his son, and it shows like the son having to bury his favorite toy in the sand so he could become a man. And I guess like in real life, Alejandro Jodorowsky like lost like contact with his son. And so then like as part of, and this is again goes back to like the Alejandro Jodorowsky psycho magic where ritual is a way of overcoming like sort of problems in your life. He brought his adult son to his backyard, has him go dig in a spot, and he digs up the toy that he buried in the movie. And he's
That's amazing.
And he goes, "I have just given you back your childhood."
That's so weird.
And that's sort of like,
I kind of love it.
And that's sort of like how he's like apologizing to his son for abandoning him. And I do love how magical and just surreal he is and just his everyday life. But yeah, it's a fun way to approach problems, I think.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about like the crew of this film and like the people who definitely succeeded at their fucking jobs.
Yeah,
I want to start with a guy named Anthony Masters, who is the production designer on here, and he's usually an art director or production designer on movies. You probably best know him as the production designer on 1968's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
And so he's responsible for like all those sets and stuff, which are like some of my favorite sets in all of film.
Oh, absolutely. Kubrick was, very particular, and he wanted like everything to be on the sets to be, even though you could barely make out what it says and the background. Yeah. But he just wanted to make sure that everything would be like as it actually would be. Like,
so cool.
Just like every single detail, what it would be like on a spaceship if it was actually a functional spaceship. And I love that sort of like weird attention to detail like Kubrick had. That's fascinating that he got the same guy, because like you could tell like there was like a choice to put like a lot of very subtle notes and stuff into a lot of like the backgrounds, especially like in like with like the ships, the navigator ships, they sort of have like that sort of like a sconce type thing, and the doors, like the inside basically looks like a palace, and then like, and even the opening on the outside of the ship to let the smaller ships go into, like the navigator ship, is like very just like almost like like a weird Victorian sort of like decoration you would have on a door. So yeah, I feel like the production design in this is kind of a lot like Star Wars, and where it has like kind of the rundown Empire look. It just doesn't look nearly as cluttered as Star Wars. It looks a lot cleaner. Yeah.
So I guess like kind of more what they did with Star Wars and like the prequels. But it's so dusty.
It's very dusty.
Everything's so dusty and brown, and like, I don't know, some of the things they decided to do, some of the set pieces, some of the creatures, like that one thing that's in the tank in the beginning.
Yeah, the navigator.
Yeah, the navigator. That thing is so disgusting and almost Cronenberg-esque in its execution. Yeah,
like I'm curious to see, like they're going to introduce the navigators in the 2021 sequel to that.
Would you fuck the navigator? It's got to have a ishy squishy. Ishy squishy.
It's got to live in a atmosphere of pure spice to live.
Right.
And
that get you high as fuck.
That would get me high as fuck. So
yeah,
I probably
wouldn't. Flying.
I don't know, but it does have like really bulbous cheeks that look like butt cheeks. Like its face cheeks look like. I mean, that could be its butt. Who knows?
I don't know. That sounds pretty hot to me.
Because that thing was originally like a human that's been like.
That's why they call them ass cheeks, is because you don't have to differentiate between the face cheeks and the ass cheeks. You just
stick your dick in. Stick your dick in whatever hole right there.
Yeah, the navigator is just like a human, like just like malformed from space.
What if it was the vagigator?
The vagigator?
Yeah, and it had a big old sloppy toppy.
I would love that.
Sloppy. Sloppy moppy. There
Sloppy
we go.
moppy.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a sloppy moppy.
Hey,
Hey girl, you got that sloppy moppy. Let me give it to ya. Hey girl, you got that sloppy moppy.
I do like. I mean, we don't see any gators, but we do see lots of dogs in this movie.
yeah, we do.
Like, specifically, like you could like the house. Like, we don't get to see the House Harkonnen dog. I don't think.
I don't think so.
Like we see the Crinos. The Crinos, they love bulldogs. In the beginning, we see like a whole mess of bulldogs.
Right.
And the Atreides love pugs, apparently.
Right.
And specifically, they had a little tiny girl pug that's like that's seen a lot, and
We love our pugs, don't we, folks?
and and I do wonder, like, there is a sort of like history of pugs and how they attach to royalty. Like it said, like they're famous for being very protective of royalty, especially because there's this one a political assassination that almost happened to like some emperor type dude, and a pug,
Some guy who deserved
it, but a pug woke him up with its barking. And so he he was saved. He was saved from the assassination attempt. And so that's why, like, and so then pugs have kind of been seen like as a protector of royalty, and maybe also that's why they were with the Atreides, because that's an early warning sign that they were going to be in danger.
Right.
From the Harkonnens, like they were targeted for assassination, and they.
Or do you think they're targeted for assassination because they're seen as weak for having pugs?
Maybe, and because the pug doesn't save Duke Leto's life,
Right.
So, like, because that's what they're fabled to do. They're fabled to protect the emperor. Or
So did the pug fail, or was too much responsibility placed upon the pug?
There could have been too much responsibility placed on that pug. Like,
I think we're asking a lot of a dog, especially a really little nervous dog.
And plus, he seemed to be. I think it was a she. She looked a little tiny girl pug.
Yeah.
She seemed to be hanging out with Gurney at that time. So. Because Gurney went into battle strapped with the pug strapped to his chest.
That's not kind of selfish to bring your dog into battle like that.
He was protecting it. Like I kind of like when we see Gurney like 2 years down the line, like that pug is gone.
Yeah.
So we can only assume he ate it.
Right. When you're in the desert.
Yeah.
When you're in the desert, what you gotta eat my dog? See that? Down on the bayou, you got all types of gator, you got snake, you got bugs, you got all types of proteins you can eat.
You got all sorts of proteins.
But when you in the desert, you got a dog.
You got a dog.
You got a dog.
Yeah.
But you got a spice mix, you got a spice rub?
Yeah, and the spice, it gets you fucked up, and it smells like cinnamon.
Sand, most people don't know this, sand is a spice rub. There's all types of stuff in there, like, I don't know, a little piece of glass and
it should be salt.
thyme.
It's like salt, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's cinnamon in there. There's spice.
Yeah.
Cinnamon and spice.
And everything nice.
Yeah. Like, but yeah. Yeah, we can only assume Gurney did, like, rub that dog with spice and eat it. So that's kind of sad. It's kind of a sad fate for that little tiny pug that Gurney ate it in the desert. But, like, yeah, I just thought that was interesting. It was like something that's not really in the books or the 2021 movie. It's just like the royal dogs, which I just like it's a nice touch. And I was like trying to think of like symbolism. That's why I was like thinking like, oh, that story of like why because pugs are like always attached to royalty and stuff. So I wonder if that's and specifically that story of like warning the royalty of danger.
Dear Dennis, Villain Avenue. Show Gurney eating the dog, please.
Take me down to Villa Avenue. I'm gonna take you higher.
Villa Avenue, yes. Villain Avenue is what I'm calling him from now on. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
I'm never gonna remember his real fucking fake
we gotta
name.
ask David. Well, David Lynch famously will not talk about this film.
Kind of.
He kind of. Oh,
we
I think
that.
what was that? Was it 2022 when he finally did?
He did. I'm gonna keep talking about the production here though, because I want to talk about the costuming in here.
The costumes are sick.
The costumes are amazing. They're like one of the best parts of the film. They're consistently cool. It's like a mix of something very like British military, and then there's also like H.R. Geiger-esque kind of very like electronic, very future, but very organic kind of looking things. Yeah,
they're able to really differentiate like who is who with like, because like the Harkonnens have a very, very particular look to them. They're very like just very like BDSM almost, like very
very daddy,
very daddy,
very daddy.
They like their sleek leathers, and then you have like the Atreides that are just as you said, British military. You have the Bene Gesserit, which I think are some of the most interesting.
Oh yeah, they're like these bald ladies, the witches.
The witches.
They're like they're like they've got these weird like, I don't know, like 18th century looking like headscarf things that are almost, I don't know, reminded me of like Ferengi, the way they were all set up. Yeah. And then they got like these bald ass heads.
Got the bald ass heads.
Which makes me wonder, do they all have skullets? Is that what's going on? Or are they completely bald?
I think they're completely bald in this, yeah.
Yeah, you think
You think that pussy bald? Because I'm looking for some of that bald witch pussy.
You know what? Probably. I do like
sticking my penne Gesserits. You know what I'm saying?
I do like Helena Moheim's like the Reverend Mother. I like she has almost like sort of like metallic teeth almost, and and I think she does a great job in this. Like she looks very deranged, and she has amazing reactions to everything. She starts off very, very haughty and mean and curt, and then by the end she's like freaking out at the sight of like Paul and Aaliyah, which is like I think really funny.
We love that.
Yeah.
And the child.
Yes.
That child is so fucking fucked up, man. So the costuming in this movie was done by a guy named Bob Ringwood, who you might know is the guy who did costumes for Demolition Man.
Oh, sick.
Excalibur. And Star Trek motherfucking Nemesis, baby.
Hells yeah.
He made Shinzon's sick ass fucking jacket for that film.
I can kind of see the influences on Shinzon's jacket.
No, I can totally see. Yeah. Basically how all of the fucking like Romulans looked in that film is like kind of
Harkonnen.
Yeah, for sure, style, definitely. 100%. He's also responsible for 1989's Batman Forever.
So he had the nipples.
Batman Returns. Yeah.
So he did the bat nipples.
He also did Alien Cubed and Alien Resurrection.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he's been around the fucking block.
I like both of those.
I don't love Resurrection. I like Cubed. I like Cubed. Cubed Assembly Cut is good as hell.
I liked Resurrection. I think like that movie I like a lot because like it definitely like throws you for a loop about who's going to survive and who doesn't. Yeah. Like because you initially think it's going to be like the conventionally attractive guy and his girlfriend that are going to be like the main characters of that crew, and then it's like you got Ron motherfucking Perlman instead.
Hell yeah, we got the guy who played Beast in Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. The guy whose face looks like a dog.
Yeah. And then the guy in the wheelchair who's like I think his name's Dominique Pignon. I can't remember his name, but he's in a lot of Jean-Pierre Junot's movies. Who did Alien Resurrection? He's basically like a staple in every single one of his films. And
nice.
And I think that's his only English-speaking role.
Really, that's surprising.
Yeah.
What do you think about the acting in this film?
I think it's definitely over the top. Like
it's a little melodramatic at times. You're not wrong.
The Baron he's really selling it. Like you could tell he's
So actually, I put that as my favorite performance in the whole film is Kenneth McMillan as Baron Harkonnen. He's disgusting,
and he's reveling in the disgust.
He is. He's just like. I mean, he's making fucking mouth noises. He's like talking all wet and shit. He
gets up very up close and personal with every single person. Like You could tell
you can like smell his performance.
Yeah, he goes up and he is just very handsy with every single person. Like anytime someone comes up to him, he has to touch them. He has to be in there.
But you can tell it's like in an objectifying way, not in like a comforting way or anything.
Yeah. It's definitely
he's like checking out the goods that are his because he's a leader, you know.
And he's reveling in his his ability to disgust and shock people.
Yes,
and
which here on Soy Trek we get that.
That's our brand.
That's our brand. But yeah, like he's really loving like his whole deal.
Oh, he's loving his whole deal. All right,
whole deal.
HOLE, the band that was written by Kurt Cobain.
He's definitely. I think he stands out. Also, Brad Dourif as Peter DeVries, the deranged Mentat.
Yeah,
like he's great. I mean, Brad Dourif's always fantastic in everything he does. And but yeah, it's
there's a couple kind of boring performances. We didn't have much of Duncan Idaho in this film, unfortunately.
No, and I don't think that Duncan Idaho had no juice.
No, definitely not. Richard juice. Jordan, no, he's definitely was it Jason Momoa they used in the newest one? Yeah, he's a good Duncan Idaho because Duncan Idaho is like this warrior type guy.
Yeah,
it was like fucking casting Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher when Jack Reacher is supposed to be this huge jacked dude.
They use Thad Castle in the in the Reacher series, which makes a lot more sense because that dude's huge. But yeah, like Jason Momoa makes a lot of sense because in the books like Duncan Idaho is always described as having like black goat hair, so he's like he has black curly hair and stuff, and it makes us make sense because like depending on where they want to take this, on how far they want to take. I mean, at the rate that they're making the movies, I'm not sure if they'll ever do it, but if they were to expand beyond the first book, like Duncan Idaho basically becomes like the central character of the entire series. So yeah, casting Jason Momoa, already who has like
he's got juice, baby.
He's got juice, and
he's got juice. It's a classic Chad right there.
Oh yeah,
seems like a good guy type guy.
He could carry.
Was in Stargate Atlantis or something. What
yeah. He could carry. More Dune movies if chosen to.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think that was a good choice to put him in there because he's because he's a very charming guy and can really have that sort of like dude, because I think like in the books they mentioned like Duncan Idaho fell after killing like 100 Sardaukar, and he personally killed like that many before finally dying or something. So it's like he's someone new that's believable in that role.
Hell yeah. And it should be noted this is Kyle MacLachlan's debut film role.
Oh yeah.
First film he's ever in, which is surprising. Because he takes the lead and he takes it pretty confidently, I think.
He does, yeah. And this film actually starts the working relationship between him and David Lynch, and they actually, because of this film, that's how he got the money to make Blue Velvet.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So, which is kind of funny because like Dino De Laurentiis gave him like the money to do Blue Velvet, which was at the time considered too fucked up of a script to make. It's like well, we kind of fucked up with this Dune adaptation. And what if we make this like other fucking freaky fucking movie that no one wants to see? But yeah, like that's how he was able to. I'm not sure if he. It was like the working relationship between him, Dino De Laurentiis, and Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently it should be noted that Dino De Laurentiis and Raffaella De Laurentiis are largely credited, especially told by David Lynch. Although there's a certain things he can't say professionally, at least, are credited with basically like ruining this film. Originally, he had planned to have it as a 4-hour-long film, and according to Patrick Stewart, each character in the film had at least 2 scenes cut.
Wow.
Which is a lot of scenes in a film.
I even noticed in this version that we watched, there's definitely scenes that I remember being cut. Like I think at the end, like Thufir pulls his own heart plug. He commits suicide.
Cool.
And that's not in this. Also, also what was missing is like I'm pretty sure it was in the original film, like Paul making the announcement that he was going to marry Princess Aurelian, because like and I'm pretty sure that's done in another version that wasn't in this version. I don't think. I don't remember that happening at the end.
Yeah,
like,
I haven't watched the extended version or anything.
Yeah, because like there's because that's part of like what Paul has to do to legally become emperor is like he has to marry Princess Aurelian, and then he's like, but it's only going to be in name. For China, you are my love.
Oh yeah,
and so
which we should mention Shawnee's performance by Sean Young.
Yes,
absolutely great. Yeah. Sean Young is very hot.
Yeah, she's great. She's like I liked her a lot in Blade Runner. Like and then she goes and does Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
I totally forgot she's in that. That's so weird.
Yeah, she's the one with the bad case of hemorrhoids.
Yeah, right.
But like Sean Young's great. Like I have heard like me and Lucy basically watched this together. We started watching at the same time.
Sure. And
she was looking up. Apparently, there is like another like straight to video movie, starring Sean Young about. I think it's about Dune.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's available on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look at what it's called again, but it'd be funny to see who Sean Young's playing in that.
Mm-hmm. So it said that David Lynch has said he considers this movie the only real failure in his career. To this day, he refuses to talk about it and the production in great detail, and has refused numerous offers to work on a special edition DVD or Blu-ray. Lynch has always claimed that revisiting the movie would be too painful an experience to endure. Many fans hoped that he would eventually come around, and in an article published in 2022, he did say a director's cut could happen. So there is still hope for this.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, because I do feel like the first part of this Dune was kind of like the trajectory that he wanted to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But then like everything after Paul and Jessica crashing in the desert and then being found by the Fremen, everything moves incredibly fast.
It does. And that's the thing is like, it took 3 hours for Dune 2021 to do what they did in like an hour and a half, hour 45.
Yeah.
In 1984's Dune. And so I think the setup for the film is great.
Yeah.
It does rush the ending though.
Yes.
And they're going to give another 3 hours to what they gave like half an hour in this film.
Yeah.
So
and I thought it was smart to like not introduce some characters like Fade and stuff. And,
right.
I do feel like maybe at some point in the production, maybe like I guess like they started to realize how long this shoot was going to be. I think maybe he was pressured to really wrap it up because like once Paul and Jessica meet the Fremen, like they're just like, all right, you're part of us now.
Yeah.
Like
there's no tests, there are no trials.
Yeah. Whereas like in like the 2021 one, we had like the fight with Jamis, like played by Mbinga, from Star Trek Brave New Worlds, and that's the main the end of the film, and I thought that was a good place to end it, and because but in the 1984 one, like everything starts going, like we flash 2 years in the future, like there's like in the book there's like a Chani and Paul have a child that like is killed, and that doesn't happen.
Right.
We're just like, oh, now there's a baby that has all the thoughts of that has the brain of an adult, and we're just going to just like really rocket this through. You're going to drink the water of life. You're going to do all this stuff, and so and I do feel like that's probably like for the viewer who's who's unfamiliar with Dune. I can see that being very discombobulating. It's just like you're just like quickly taken on this ride, and you don't have enough time to let anything really sink in.
You really don't. They don't. Yeah, I don't know. There is too much brevity in the setup. If you've like seeing, Dune 2021 or read the book, it's a pretty good background, and I think it sets you up to watch Dune 1984.
Yeah.
Going in dry, it might be a little difficult, but I still think that if you pay attention and like aren't high or like distracted, like you can pick up enough to really understand what is actually going on in this film. I don't think it's the fact that the information isn't there.
No.
I think it's maybe the pacing of the information.
Yeah, the pacing of the information just, I just feel doesn't make it enjoyable. Like you can understand what's happening. It's just like it just leaves more for wanting of like what you want, of wanting more, and then just being like, okay, well now we're at the final battle, and and so we do have the training montage with like the weirding modules and stuff.
Right.
And we get that, and but like Paul's ascendancy to godhood basically.
They do that in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like
a desert trip that he takes him on, and like it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, and I do feel like the 2021 one I think does a really good job of establishing this prophecy that's very, very important to the Fremen, and like so there's a lot more scenes that really stress like this, Paul being a messiah,
right
to them.
A lot more like theological undertones.
Yeah,
which is strange because usually Lynch has a lot of those. Where I think here he has more like surrealistic undertones, like seeing like prophecy through dream rather than like prophecy being like something that's foretold by someone else, like Paul seeing himself doing a lot of things and understanding the future through his dreams.
I think the 2021 one does that very well too. Like it's like like the stuff isn't literal what happens. Like Jamis is like I am going to be your friend in the desert, and he's not literally his friend. Like it means like he is going to show him the way of the desert through the brutality, and have to make Paul cross a bridge into like the person he has to become to lead the Fremen. Sure. And so and I do feel like that's kind of established more because we basically just meet the Fremen at the end of the 2021 film, and already he's faced with trials to really prove himself and establish himself that are kind of just like glossed over in the 1984 one.
Right. Like definitely.
Like. We see Paul, giving orders, leading troops and stuff, and it's just like it moves very fast, and like that's one of my only complaints is like I think to a viewer, because when I watched as a child without having read the books, I was like, I don't know what's going on. There's a big ass worm. I was just really into that.
Yeah, the big ass worm. Yeah,
I was just like,
I want to know what that big ass worm do.
Yeah, I did think visually that was like one of the most insane things I'd ever seen.
It was really cool.
Yeah, like I like the sandworms a lot, and like that's what I always established, like connected with Dune, because my dad had like a lot of the books. When I was a kid, so like I would just see them and I would just be like, that's the sandworm book. But like like watching it, reading the books and like having like that backstory was able to, you're able to, as someone has read the books, you're able to fill in a lot of things that they gloss over in the 1984 film. Right. But anyone who hasn't read that, it would probably be like, left wanting.
Yeah, and so I would actually recommend reading the book and then watching the 1984 film, or just watching Dune 2021 and then Dune 1984. Although, like, I don't know. Yeah, you're going to be probably maybe dissatisfied with the last, like, half hour.
Yeah.
45 minutes, because it is, like, it does rush the second half.
But I gotta love Lynch, because even though he rushes over a lot of stuff in the plot, he finds time to add little fun things, like the cat you have to milk.
Right. Yeah. Milk cat. Yeah.
Milk cat. And so I'm like, cool. That's fucking weird. It's not in the book. but we're gonna include a cat you have to milk,
and a lot of like gooey things.
A lot of gooey things.
Like he definitely explores like the gooiness of the Dune universe. I think more than Hubert does. Like the wetness of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of wetness, and just
even in the desert, there's a lot of wetness. You know what I'm saying, baby?
I know what you said.
A lot of wetness in the desert, baby.
And you're going back to like the performance of the Baron. Like
he's so wet.
And his initial introduction, he's being drained, and also he is like
in the moon vein.
He is throwing spit everywhere, like every single thing he says.
Not just spit, baby.
But everything he says out of his mouth, there is a big globule of spit that just shoots out,
and
he's being very wet with it.
He's like on our what was it what were the two characters we were doing where they talks real wet.
Oh yeah.
This is Cars and Cigars with Danny Gentleman and the Butthole. Hello, Danny. I'm the Butthole.
I'm Keith McMillan. Okay, well, no, we just watched Dune, and we really appreciate, having wet representation in a film.
Wet representation.
We want to see someone that's just like constantly moist outside the mouth. He is coming out of every single pore, every orifice. Every single hole in his body is leaking something.
Every single fucking hole in my body, you have no idea. You have absolutely no idea.
Also, another leaking person though was one of the guy in the guild navigator guilds. Mm-hmm. Like he just had like an open sore on his head that was leaking some orange translucent fluid.
I bet he was gay too.
Probably.
You know what they say? If you got sores, you
got AIDS.
Whoa.
That's what they accused the Baron of.
That's what you said, buddy.
That's why they said like, the Baron AIDS. But really, like, I don't think is one thing that's really introduced is like, a Bene Gesserit gave Baron that disease because he like raped her and then like she gave him a disease. And also I think it's like kind of glossed over is like also like Lady Jessica is like the Baron's daughter, I think, or granddaughter.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I don't think he's aware of it, because he had it with the Bene Gesserit and she was raised, but yeah. So yeah, they're all just inbred.
Wild.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Step Harkonnen?
But yeah, it's a very interesting story. I think like they were saying like George R.R. Martin was really inspired by this.
I can see that. I can see that because there's a lot of like books. Political in-playing between houses and like a lot of classes and people within those classes and having like different material concerns based on their class.
Yeah, and that's I will say like I love the Dune universe. I wouldn't ever want to live in one.
No,
live in it.
No, it would suck to be anyone but the Emperor. Basically.
Yeah, anyone who's not royalty of any kind seems to just live their lives in service of like some deeply inbred royal family. So it's just like it'd be something and supposedly have to worship as a god.
It's kind of Warhammer 40K ish.
It is, yeah. Like just like have like this. And I do think that's one thing I like about like the 2021 one is like it definitely like makes Sardaukar look more Warhammerish, I think. Yeah. Because like it shows us their planet and they're just like these like Warhammer guys, like just like the Space Marines, and it's really
like
cool.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, like they look
Warhammer guys.
They're they're very hairy, very large, and, and they're wearing
sweatpants,
wearing the pressure suits.
Or the JO joggers.
The JO joggers.
Yeah. Yeah. So all in all, what do you think about this film? What's your final diagnosis? What's wrong with it? What are its weaknesses? What are its strengths? Do you ultimately like the film?
I do. I always have like a warm place in it in my heart. Like, I mean, with the 2021 one, I really like that a lot more as an adaptation of like the Dune books.
Sure.
Of the story of Dune. Like, I think it's like I think it solves a lot of the problems this one had. Because I think, like, you know, David Lynch is a great director. I do feel like he was working on under some constraints that really compromised his vision for this film.
Absolutely.
But I do think he was able to pull off some really cool visuals, like some really interesting performances. You know, he was trying to do like a very impossible thing, where it's just like take a very alien world and just like present it to us, you know, and do like a tight 2-hour film with it.
And so I think he did that almost effectively, in that he did it through like a series of dreams.
Yeah.
And so we're introduced not to so much like an alien world and an alien planet, but so much as like a dream world and something that's thought up and something that's almost more fantasy than it is science fiction.
Yeah, because I do feel a sense, because of their rejection of like thinking machines. So it's like pretty different than, you know, a conventional sci-fi film. Even though we don't have too much of like, you know, they do seem very technologically advanced, and they are, and like the Dune books.
It doesn't focus on the technology too much, though. It focuses more on like the magic and the psychology.
Yeah, and also it doesn't really like show like the necessity of mentats, you know, since because and they kind of do because of like you know, why we need the guild navigators to really like move, because we don't have like computers to really like do sort of like warp type travel. You know, you have to do like, you have a guild navigator, you have to have mentats that can do calculations in their head.
Excuse me, hashtag not all mentats.
Not all mentats. And just like how it's like how humanity has evolved because you know, you have to physically become better, you know, just like we have like, you know, the different fighting men like Duncan Idaho and the Sardaukar, you know, everyone is working at a heightened level because of like this, like, because they reject like higher technology,
right?
And I think that's a really cool theme of Dune, is just like this, like how they push themselves into becoming physically and mentally superior.
It's why you never fight an Amish.
Never fight an Amish.
No, it doesn't matter if they're on Rumspringa, even if they're fucking drunk, especially if they're fucking drunk. This is the first time they've been drunk. They don't even know their own power. They've been fucking raising houses since they were like 12 years old. They have the fucking thighs to fucking crush your skull into a million shattered little pieces.
Don't want to bring out an iPhone in front of one.
No.
Nah.
Just show them your dick, see what they say, and be on your way. Yep. You can turn that Rumspringa into a bum springer. You know what I'm saying?
Bum springer. But yeah, one thing I do have though, like, problem with is like the end of this film. It shows it rain on Arrakis.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense because
there's like no water in the atmosphere either.
There's no water in the atmosphere, and most important of all is like water is deadly to the sandworms. Who make the spice. So like, if it were to rain on Dune, I mean, like eventually, like in the books, like,
welcome to the mud planet.
Welcome to the mud.
It's very wet here.
Oh, we just killed all the sandworms. Like,
I don't know how we will fly now.
Don't know how we fly. Yeah, because like that really like goes against like what makes Arrakis important. Is because
which we never even mentioned, I don't think. Like the crux of this entire plot. So basically. Gonna set it up for you real quick. House Atreides is sent to go take over from House Harkonnen. They're sent to go take control of Arrakis, which is a desert planet where they make this drug that lets you see into the future. And seeing into the future is required for space travel.
And really, they're being set up, like, because like
the Emperor is colluding with House Harkonnen in order to distract House Atreides while doing spice production and destroy their house.
Because they're a threat to they could potentially be like the new emperor.
Because of some mystical bullshit.
So like so they're kind of set up to fail, you know. Paul instead, you know, he goes and be's the Messiah to a desert people.
That's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do. And
you know who else was a Messiah to a desert people?
Jesus Christ.
Osama bin
Laden. Okay, now it's making sense. He is the Kwisatz Haderach.
We have a couple guests here, a couple men from the
The IBF. Who are they? Oh wait, I'm dyslexic. Oh, the FBI.
it's the IDF.
The IDF. Oh God, no. But yeah, like but I do like Paul is like the Baron is dispatched. Like Aaliyah the knife, she cuts him with a poison. She cuts him with a knife and stabs him with a gom jabbar, and he floats into a worm's mouth. And everyone it's so funny. Everyone watches it. They're just like, yeah. It's like he goes, I'm dead, and floats it right into the worm's mouth. But and he's able to defeat Sting in hand-to-hand combat. And
yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, that's the twink on twink fight.
The twink on twink.
Remind me a little bit of in Amok Time. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Twink 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 twinks 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 twinks.
Yeah, it was twink on twink.
And he stabs him in the fucking throat. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, and makes his eyes turn white.
Yeah.
Hits him with the voice and is able to break his body. But yeah, he basically just and
then he breaks the floor too
with
the voice. It's pretty fucking
yeah.
sick. Yeah.
I think one thing that a scene that was left out of the version we watched was Paul really established it shows Paul established himself as emperor as a way of giving himself the legal way of ascending to the throne is he marries Princess Aurelian,
right,
who's the daughter of the emperor, who the emperor is going to be played by Christopher Walken in the new
That's movie. Interesting.
Yeah,
that could be good.
Yeah, and Florence Pugh is playing Princess Pugh is playing Princess Aurelian, and I think she looks great. I saw the trailer for that. I think she looks good. I think I like Christopher Walken as
Florence Pugh
as the emperor, but Paul he's then able to do his jihad across the universe and I've heard a lot of people call this almost like the anti-hero's journey because Paul does end up killing a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
it's like an emperor's journey.
Yeah, an emperor's journey where he just becomes
but it's like a benevolent-ish emperor.
Yeah.
Benevolent. No, that doesn't work at all.
But he ends up doing a whole jihad across the different planets and
who else did a jihad?
the real life Quasats
Den.
Yeah, our Quasats Hatterack.
Yep.
And so yeah, and it would have been interesting to see this go into other films, but that's why it does leaving you in a good place. You have sort of the you have Paul as emperor, and I will say I don't he takes Chani as his beloved, but I want to say Chani doesn't do too much in this. They just kind of kiss each other.
No, yeah, she's not even as active as was Zendaya.
Yeah,
is in
Zendaya,
2021.
Zendaya does a better job,
but they also, they got to be giving Zendaya screen time. They probably paid a lot for fucking Zendaya.
Yeah,
they already paid a fucking probably 15-20 million out of pocket for Shamley.
Yeah, Timmy Chams, you got to pay him.
Timmy Chim Cham.
Yeah, and but yeah, also one thing I didn't like though is also Lady Jessica basically becomes a non-entity after,
which is weird because she's top billed in this movie.
Yeah. And I do like Rebecca Ferguson's performance of her in the 2021 one because and when we see her after they leave the palace in a hurry, she basically just freaks out the entire time, and I think I felt like Rebecca Ferguson did a better job of someone who would have Bene Gesserit training,
right
is more focused than
freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, but then afterwards, after she becomes the Reverend Mother for the Fremen, she basically just becomes basically nobody in this film. We do get to see her at the end, but yeah, it ends a pretty good, ends well for our hero, Paul.
He's a hero in this film.
And But then one thing I love though, then we go into like sort of a like almost like the ending to Predator. Where it's just like when it's doing the text when it's showing all of our characters and the actors who played them.
Oh right.
But it just instead of like how fun the ending to Predator was when it's showing all the actors where it has like this uplifting heroic music and it shows them all just like goofing around, just being goofs.
Yeah.
Like here we just have like the transparent, semi-transparent versions of our actors just staring at the screen. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just thought that was really funny while waves crashed behind them. Like they're ghosts.
That's pretty hot. You don't want to fuck a ghost, man? Ain't you never watched Casper's Spirited Beginning?
But it was a very fun way. I thought it was visually interesting to do the credits that way. Mm-hmm. It was fun, but it was also kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then we have like ended with raining, which goes against we have Paul as the emperor because he establishes that Arrakis is now the center of the universe because they control the spice.
Right.
But water kills sandworms.
Yeah.
But everyone's celebrating that that Paul uses his powers to make it rain on Arrakis.
Spoiler alert! In later. I mean, I'm not sure if they're canon novels, but still written by his son. They get water sandworms, water worms. So
yeah, they get. I think in Chapter House Dune, like Arrakis is a lush terraformed planet. But yeah, just funny in that because it's like, okay, well, it just rained. It's raining on Arrakis, and all the worms are going to die, and you're not going to have any spice. So Arrakis is no longer the center of the universe. Right. Like you just lost all your bargaining power.
It's raining free men. Hallelujah.
But that's something. But to people, I think that's kind of left out of the fact, that water kills worms in the Dune universe, and so you're just
water kills worms in our universe too. I don't know if you've ever noticed.
It does bring them to the pavement and you step on them. Mm-hmm. But like,
I eat them.
You eat them.
I get a spatula up there. You ain't never seen that movie? Read that book? How do you fry worms?
Oh yeah, I was about to mention that.
I just put it on my server.
That's why I was thinking about it. I was like, I haven't thought about that book. I remember reading in elementary school.
So in elementary school, they made us read that book, and then we could optionally eat fried worms as a project. And I tried fried worms.
How was it?
Kind of what you expect, not great.
I had a neighbor that would eat raw worms. Uh-huh. He was like this weird kid.
Was your neighbor a fish? You got a catfish for a neighbor?
No, he was just like this weird dude who would just go and he would get worms. He would get a bunch of worms. I'd go play with him, and he would get a bunch of worms, and then he would cut them in half, and then eat them. And I'm like, and all you could think about was that book because I had just read that book, how to eat fried worms. So. Right. But yeah, but there's no worm eating in this. But I do feel like
not in the classical sense, but in the in the sexy sense.
Oh yeah,
lots of worm.
Chani was a worm eater.
Oh, she was eating lots of worms.
but yeah, I do feel like they added the rain because that's like feels triumphant and satisfactory to like the viewer. Because the viewer who's probably unfamiliar with the Dune universe would think like,
it rain's good. Yeah.
Rain's good. Like
I missed you. Yeah, like the deserts miss the rain.
Yeah, like these desert people need the rain. So that's supposed to be satisfying for the viewer. But and the world universe like Arrakis is like Paul's ascendancy to the throne is now completely moot.
Okay. I hope someone got fired for that.
I hope someone got fired for that blunder.
But it's a self-contained film. It never explains that, and so it doesn't matter.
No, that's why. And I'm fine with that because, like, as I was saying, like I think like Alejandro Jodorowsky's Dune, while it kind of follows a loose adaptation of of the book. And I kind of like what he brought to the table from watching the documentary Alejandro Jodorowsky's doing. Like from what I heard, like I would like to see that film.
Yeah. And supposedly it was between 10 and 14 hours long.
Yeah.
Which back then, not a possibility. There was no kind of funding for that. No one was willing to put up that kind of time or money. Now, That fucking Netflix would do that in a fucking second.
He also wanted a scene where there was like 1,000 people all shitting at the same time in a pit.
Oh, so basically like Gandhi.
Yeah. So he was. It was definitely like a very ambitious project, and it's interesting to see how that project, while it never got off the ground, it brought a lot of like people together, like Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Geiger, who like they met on that. Like, and then that was later to then influence like the 1984 Dune, and that brought together Dino De Laurentiis, David Lynch, and Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah. And so it's just like, it's just interesting to see like this trajectory that, while these, like the Alejandro Jodorowsky Dune wasn't made, 1984 Dune was considered a failure. Yeah. Like, it did bring these people, these creative types together who then went on to make other more influential things.
Right. And, this was actually cited as a reason that Sir Patrick Stewart appeared on the radar for the job for Jean-Luc Picard.
Nice.
Because, this predates it by 3 years or something. It was one of his only major movie roles.
Yeah. I was reading on the Interview Database how he was just known as a Shakespearean stage
Pretty
actor.
much, yeah.
And the only people that really recognized him was like Kyle MacLachlan and the guy who played Beast Robin or something.
And so David Lynch didn't even recognize him. According to IMDb, apparently David Lynch thought he cast another guy named Patrick Stewart that wasn't him, and so he accidentally got Patrick Stewart, but liked him so much in the role he kept him.
You know what? All right.
But I'm all for it.
I think Patrick Stewart does a fine job as Gurney Halleck. Like, I do like what's his name? Josh Brolin's.
Yeah, he's very good.
Josh Brolin's very good as Gurney. Yeah. Like, because Gurney is described as like a typical fighting man.
Gruff guy.
Gruff guy.
Which I can kind of get, at least in this universe, Patrick Stewart being that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he does bring a lot of like the authoritarian Picard voice.
He has that intensity,
and he basically talks to Kyle MacLachlan as if he's Wesley.
Yes,
and so especially in that introductory scene, where we meet Kyle MacLachlan and
they have a knife fight.
Yeah, they have a knife fight, and and Patrick Stewart as Gurney is very has that speaks to him as if he were like a
young Padawan,
a young Wesley Crusher who just fucked up.
Yeah.
So
or an Anakin who just
fucked up, and so like. Yeah, I like what Patrick Stewart brought to the table on this.
Yeah. Here's one of my favorite Patrick Stewart anecdotes about this film. Sir Patrick Stewart was, at the time, completely unfamiliar about who Sting was as a musician. When meeting him on set, he asked if he was a solo artist, to which Sting replied he was in a band called The Police. Stewart, still totally unaware, thought Sting played in a police band.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Sometimes Patrick Stewart comes off as like this very like all around cultured guy, but you realize it's basically just with Shakespeare.
I mean, culture is so atomized that like no one's a completely rounded person in every subject, and so like I can't expect this guy who is in like so many Shakespearean productions, is friends with probably a lot of classical musicians who probably mostly play classical and or jazz. Yeah. I can't imagine him being like really into fucking pop music, fucking white reggae from Sting. Yeah, from Sting from the fucking 80s. Like, I don't know.
That is a funny reaction to Sting though. Like, I wonder if they became friends later on. Who knows?
Yeah. Apparently Sting doesn't believe in deodorant, and he doesn't shower much because he's like really unmedicated bipolar, and so he smells bad.
That's awesome.
He'll just go to strip clubs and blow like $10,000 smelling bad.
Is that a thing he does? He goes to strip clubs?
Yeah.
While stinking? Damn.
It's weird.
Can't be doing that.
Kind of selfish, right?
Yeah.
Don't be stanking in the strip club.
I will say his acting has improved because like do you remember, I think he was in season 1 or 2 of Only Murders in the Building?
I haven't watched it.
Oh, he plays himself, but his role's pretty funny.
Cool.
But like,
do you know why he's called Sting?
Because he has a rattlesnake's tail.
No.
Oh, why?
No, because back in the 70s, he used to wear the sweater that was black and yellow. and
Oh,
they're like, "Oh, you're like a bee." And
hey,
start
it's
calling him Sting.
Bumblebee. Yeah.
Hey, look at this Sting over here.
For some reason, there's a whole group of like bully New Yorkers that are in Britain. They're just bullying him.
Yeah, we're just handing out nicknames today, bully style.
Bully style.
What you looking at, Mook? I'm gonna call you Google Eyes. What's up, Google Eyes?
Hey, Bumblebee, Buzz, you going to sting me? What are you going to do? Sting me?
What, you want to pollinate me? You want to go in the family restroom here, lock the door, maybe pollinate my asshole a little bit? What? Wait, what?
If you boys don't stop, I'm going to call the police.
Yeah,
that's a really
call the police. I'll fuck them. I'll suck all their dicks.
That's a really good name for a band.
What? Suck all their dicks?
No, the police. And my name will be Sting now. Thank you, random New Yorkers hanging out in London town.
No!
And that's how history is made.
Hey, how about this guy? Hey, what you doing, tall stuff? Hey, beardo weirdo. What's up with that hat? I'm gonna call you Osama Laden.
Actually, you know what? I'm reading this really cool book. It's called Dune, written in 1965, and there's a guy, who is kind of the chosen one who performs a jihad, and they call him the Quasat's Haderach. You're the Quasat's Haderach, Osama bin Laden.
I think that's a great place for us to leave it.
Yeah, I think so.
Overall, I'd say you should watch 1984's Dune.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a unique, singular vision from a wonderful fucking director.
Yeah.
It's like the largest scale thing that they've ever done, really.
But it's a movie that he considers his only real failure.
You know what? If you're listening to this, David Lynch, I know you are. I know you fucking listen. I know you listen to us every time.
I can see him doing that because I can see him just having very weird interests, and he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to listen to this Star Trek podcast that no one listens to.
Yes, Linda. They call it Soy Trek. It's a gay Marxist Trek podcast.
Oh, this is really great. This is great. This is very bizarre. Very, very awful. I love it. I'm gonna put them in my next movie.
It's like I'm having a bad dream.
It's like I'm having a stroke.
Stroke me, stroke me.
Stroke me. Yeah. I hope David Lynch is listening, and if he is, I want him to know that I one time bought 5 pounds of the David Lynch coffee. Mm-hmm. It was great. I loved it. Nice. It was only available in California, I think, at the time, and I was living in Baltimore. And I looked online, and I was able to order 5 pounds of it. I could only get 5 pounds, and I drank all 5 pounds of David Lynch's roast.
Was it a light roast or a medium roast?
It was a medium. It was very good. Like, I remember like making a ton of it because I was just like, I'm not gonna get through 5 fucking pounds of coffee, but I did. I gave some of it away, but yeah, no, he had a cute little commercial for his coffee. It was, very Lynchian commercial.
Sure.
Yeah.
Probably had like a black and white monkey that he's talking to about coffee.
Yeah, I do like that. Was it like what something did?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that just small weird film he made for Netflix. That's just him and a capuchin monkey talking.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
Having a fun time.
Very Ross of him. Very Ross.
Very Ross of him. Yeah, that's actually one of the monkeys that was inside of the Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging with us, Soyagers. Be well, travel safe, and I'd go ahead and watch Lynch's Dune. It's something interesting.
Yeah, watch it. It's visually interesting. There's a cat that gets milked.
The performances are pretty good.
Performances are really good. Like, there's like you could tell like Duke Leto is very Swedish or something. He's just like he's like there's some very fun accents that bleed through. Like it's an interesting movie.
Oh yeah, his name is like the most Swedish. Yeah, it's Jürgen Prochnow.
Yeah.
Prochnow.
Yeah.
Prochnow.
Yeah, he's a very, very interesting looking guy. But watch that, and also you should watch the 2021 Dune
and read the book Dune. Most importantly,
yeah,
because that's a good ass book, man.
That's a good ass book. Read all the books. Read up. I think I can't remember how many there are. There's a million. Because also then, like, his son takes over the books. And then there's the Butler and Jihad book. It's good. Get Erasmus in there.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
And then there's the fanfic. Or Paul Atreides, Duncan, Idaho. I read one called My Own Private Idaho. Own Private Idaho. Own Private Idaho.
Oh, yeah. And it has Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix as Fade and Paul Atreides.
They resurrect River Phoenix.
No, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, My Own Private Idaho. Yeah, I actually wrote my own Dune fan fiction that takes place through the eyes of the pug.
Oh.
And during its time in the war, where it personally takes down Sardaukar by biting them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Sounds good.
Yeah. Name's Pugsilla. All right. Well, thanks for checking with Silly Boys, Girls, and Otherworldly Beans. Hang dong and shocker.
The meat is water. Drink, drink the meat. The meat is water. Drink, drink the meat. The meat is water. Drink, drink the meat. The paper is life. Burn, burn the paper. The meat is water. Drink, drink the meat. The meat is water. Drink, drink the meat. The paper is life.